Howdy, folks. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas if you celebrate. Happy Hanukkah. We are rolling into the new year in 2026. You're back with Follow the Leader. I am your host, Lee Larson, and I am here with Bernard Taylor out of Florida, running for District 21, 21st Congressional District. Bernard Taylor, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Folks, y'all must be thinking, what is Montana doing interviewing Florida folks running for office? Well, as we know, this country is going through quite a bit, and we all have different solutions and different paths of how we look to solve it, particularly within our communities. And I'm interested to hear how, out of Florida, particularly in District 21, so near Mar-a-Lago, um, it is one of the most populated states in the country. Florida is governed by Ron DeSantis currently, and they're always in the headlines. So why would we not talk to someone who has the courage, the strength, and the vision and the leadership to want to represent and advocate for their people? So that's why we're here with Bernard Taylor. I want to start with just your upbringing. Tell me about you. What's the call? How did you decide to serve?
Man, well, given a little bit about my background as a firefighter and paramedic here in my district, I've been doing that almost 6 years now, and I always knew that I wanted to help people, even since I was a child. I always knew I was going to get involved in medicine some way, somehow. I wanted to be a doctor, specifically a pediatrician, for the longest time. But then I looked up how long it takes to go to school, and how much money it costs, and all that other stuff, and I was like, all right, we're going to pivot.
Yeah,
'Cause I love to learn, and I love to be in books, like, that is an awfully long time, so,
yes, it is.
um, I kinda did what most average Americans do, man. I spent my, early adulthood just trying to figure out life, figure out myself. I worked in any industry you could think of, whether it's construction, landscaping, worked in restaurants, hotels, any type of job you could think of, I probably done it. So, spent all or most of my 20s kinda just figuring out life, figuring out who I wanted to be and who I was as a person. It wasn't until I started working for a chiropractor, helping him out, um, kind of taking me under his wing, showing me, the ropes as far as rehab and things of that nature. It's when I started, working with firefighters. And they would always come in and like, hey man, you fit the bill, man. I think this would be a good career for you. And I remember the first time they told me, I was like, you crazy? I ain't running in no burning building. The building on fire. I'm going the other way. Um, but no, it took them about, I want to say, 8 months to a year to kind of just wear me down, just continue and talking with me about the career, how great it is, the paramedic aspect of it, because it wasn't until at that point in time I thought they were separate. In most places they are separate entities, but specifically here in Florida, a lot of the EMS and fire services are together. So it blended my love for wanting to work in medicine while also just building on what I missed as far as from being an athlete, just that teamwork, that camaraderie, that being in shape, that physical fitness aspect of my life that I love so much as well. So it was just like the perfect career to blend all the things that I enjoyed doing, and I haven't regretted it, man. And these past 6 years have been probably some of the most prosperous in my life in terms of growth, in terms of being able to lift myself out of poverty, in terms of building my family, in terms of being able to provide for my children. So serving the public has not only helped me serve the public, but also has put my family in a better situation than they were beforehand. So seeing how I was able to do that for myself, but also the seeing the aspects of serving the public and going into these homes and going into these different situations and seeing how people are living, seeing how people are struggling, having conversations in the back of the ambulance with people who just need a little bit of help, who don't want to have to go to the hospital every 2 weeks, but they can't afford not to because they don't have, insurance for a primary care physician. Like all these different things that come up, it came to a point where it's just like, look, I'm tired of, just taking you guys to the hospital. Like somebody has to stand up
Yeah.
and speak out for the people. So um I just looked up one day. I said, what are the requirements to run run for office?
Well,
I
yeah.
said, oh, okay, I qualify. Kind of looked at what it would take and just kind of dove head first, and here I am today.
Well, thank you. That's an incredible story, and that's exactly what it is. We're all just people, trying to figure it out, trying to have our own financial stability, trying to have purpose and meaning. You found that through the EMS and the firefighter. That's incredible. And then again, through that exposure, like you said, going into people's homes, neighborhoods, you're seeing people on their worst day. Um, and I mean, particularly with all the cost to health insurance and um, doctor's visits and etcetera, I was looking at your American Healthcare for All Act proposal, the single payer universal healthcare system. That is incredible. It's something that I'm hearing a lot of different states and people just going. They just have they're moving forward with it. And um, talk to me about how what you've seen as a paramedic, how that plays in, and maybe even your own personal. Like how? Tell me about your healthcare vision.
Well, first and foremost, working in this field has opened my eyes to the underbelly of the healthcare industry in this country. You know, you have a lot of people who speak on it from the outside, and rightfully so, as far as like you know why they think certain things are the way they are. But actually having to deal with it from an inside perspective, and running these calls, and running these different type of emergencies and hearing people's stories, it is truly heartbreaking. Again, when you can't afford a primary care physician, the emergency room is your primary care physician. Now, making the emergency room your primary care physician, think about it. It's an emergency room. This is designed for emergencies. We have people that we run every 3 weeks for, you know, basic life support, BLS calls, basically minor injuries and things of that nature, or you know, they're it causes a strain on the EMS system, and not only the EMS system, it also causes a strain on the hospitals. And nurses are we're already facing a nursing shortage in this country, and we're constantly stressing out these nurses and EMS workers every day because again, our healthcare system is so um profit motivated, and it's not people motivated. It's not designed to serve the people to the most to the best and most efficient way possible. It's designed to make the CEOs at the top the most money possible. And whether it's a call that I ran on a regular of mine who unfortunately passed because he was no longer able to afford his insulin. So he was kind of using EMS to regulate his sugar. Like when it would get too high, he would call us to kind of get his sugar down, you know, to the hospital, you know, do all those types of things. Well, when you keep your sugar high enough for an extended period of time, you become hyperglycemic, and that hyperglycemia for an extended period of time, it will cause you to have irregular cardiac rhythms, and eventually that strain on your heart will lead to cardiac arrest, and which is what happened to this individual, unfortunately. And he wasn't an older gentleman; he was in his mid 50s, so he had plenty of life ahead of him, left to go. But for the simple fact that he can no longer afford, you know, that insulin, his family was now robbed of opportunity to have that family member for an extended period of time. So just little stories like that 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 I see, that I noticed, that if things were different, if we didn't prioritize the profits in the healthcare industry and actually prioritize the people, we'd have we have better outcomes. People would be here longer for their families. Such we wouldn't have burnout in these industries, in the healthcare industries, because people get burned out very quickly and very fast, unfortunately. And we're not putting enough people in the field to replace these people that are get burned out. Healthcare to me is a right. I firmly believe we need to get to a universal single payer system as quickly as possible. And like you say, in my plan, it's not like, you know, we're gonna just pass a bill and then poof, you know, we gonna have everybody gonna have, you know, that's not how it works. And I hate that people get out here and they do the whole fear mongering and all the negative socialism and all this other stuff. Anything that we've gotten in the country, it happens in increments. And if you see the plan that I laid out on my website, it's an incremental.
Yes.
implementation of universal healthcare. This thing would almost take a decade for it to start covering everybody because, again, I'm not a heartless person. I know that there are hundreds of thousands of people that work in the healthcare industry, that answer the phones, that work in the call centers, that
Oh,
work
yeah.
to approve and do all these things. So these are people's jobs. I'm not trying to snap my fingers and make hundreds of thousands of people unemployed. So gradually changing from one
Yeah.
system to another, allowing those people to leave one job and potentially get another job. Because again, you're not you're not taking away their job, you're just transferring it to a single payer system. So instead of working for that private entity, the government will still need those people to do those same jobs.
Yeah.
So it's not like your
Right.
job is necessarily going away. It's literally a transition from one thing to the next.
Well, thank you for explaining your approach to it, your gradual approach. Like you said, there's no way that it can be implemented in such an overwhelming way. But absolutely, it's just simply it's not working, and it's outrageous to be in this country and have access to so much, but the healthcare is so misleading. It's scam. It's just ugh. Um, One of the things that, is near to my heart, so speaking of healthcare and going into paramedic, um, we lost my stepbrother years ago to a drug overdose. I'm from Texas originally, he was out of state, but just thinking about all the different ways that, paramedics and folks like you are seeing, these overdoses. Can you talk a little bit about what you're seeing in District 21?
So we've actually I've noticed just over the past couple years, I've seen the decline as far as like the number of calls that I ran personally, but that's specifically designed to my battalion where I work at in my district. Obviously, every little aspect of the county where I work in, you have higher prevalence of those activities as opposed to different other areas. So for me personally, where I work in my part of the county, I have seen a decrease. I can't say specifically to where my friends who are working in other parts of the county, they're still running a lot of those calls. So,
Yeah,
again,
yeah,
it's all about proximity to where you are. And the main thing I really think that we need to focus on is the cause for all these different things. And we know what the cause is for a lot of these things, especially I'm using illicit listen, trying to be, uh, trying
it's
to use
okay.
the right
Yeah,
words.
yeah,
Illicit medicine. There we go.
right.
Trying to use
Yeah,
illicit
well,
medicine. You get people out of poverty, man. Poverty leads to a lot of that stuff, man. People not being
yes,
able to afford life, people having to find a way to cope. Not everybody has a healthy mechanism of coping. So, they turn to those different things, man. And it's like I tell people when I'm out on the campaign trail, a lot of the things that we can solve, we choose not to solve. And the reason we choose not to solve because there's some type of profit behind it. So when you're
right.
talking about that industry, there's profit behind it, whether it's the sober homes, whether it's the
True.
rehab centers, whether it's the prisons. We talk about. I know we're not talking about crime, but when everybody talks about, well, why can't we solve crime? Why can't we solve crime? We can never solve crime as long as there's a way to profit off of crime. I mean, if you
Right.
think about it, if you got rid of all the crime, how does a for-profit that's not good business model. So,
Right,
I mean, economics 101, that's you got
right.
to have the supply in order to meet the demand. And I'm not going to solve the issue that's going to cut the supply to my business. That's just counterproductive. I try to get people to look at things that way. It's like the reason that they keep things broken is the reason why, we got it's always an immigration crisis every 2 to 4 years with people to run on. You got to have something to run on. You got to keep it broken. Otherwise there's nothing to run on.
Yeah, I hear that. Plenty of opportunity to pass bills or to do certain things and just yeah, the choosing not to. Speaking of bills, there has been a hot topic coming out of Florida about gerrymandering. We've heard it out of California, we've heard it out of Texas. There hasn't been a map that's been implemented, just DeSantis sounding like he's running around. But it looks like there would be, if it were to go, roughly 3 seats that would go more towards the Republican Party. What can you say about this gerrymandering?
We've already been gerrymandered to hell and back in this state, man. It's only so much more you could do without making other districts more competitive than they already are. And we're seeing that happen over in Texas. Like they gerrymandered successfully, but the problem is a lot of those districts that weren't that competitive, they have made more competitive based upon the gerrymandering. So I think it'll more so turn into a dummy mander there, and I think the same here. That he's already cut up the two main parts of this of the state that are relatively blue, and that's Broward County and Palm Beach County. Miami-Dade County was blue for a very long time. My hometown, love Miami dearly. It has definitely changed since I was younger,
Oh, yeah.
but they used to be the blue corner of the state. You had Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami-Dade. That was always solid blue. You can always count on that. And over the years, as more people have influxed into Miami, it has become more of
Yeah.
a red area, but Broward County and Palm Beach County are solidly blue. So between those two counties, I mean, if you look at the map, the way it's made up, you can kind of see how there's no reason how they cut Broward County to take out a part of my district on the north end of the county that would have been my district, but because that section of the county is largely minority, they literally cut that part out and attached it all the way to the south of Broward. So to put that in perspective, they attached a part of Palm Beach County that is about 25 to 30 miles away from Broward County and left a bunch in the middle. So I don't think it's really much more they can do without making themselves putting themselves in a precarious situation and probably making some other seats more competitive than they already are. Not to mention the Florida Speaker of the House and the governor don't really like each other. You,
Okay.
we're hoping that egos prevail.
Yes. Right. Yes.
We'll see what happens.
Yes. Yeah, I hear that, especially after last week's Turning Point USA with all the infighting. You're like, yes, please just fall apart. Like that would be very convenient. We have a huge mess. And speaking of the leadership around you, uh, Ryan Mast is the current representative out of 21. That is who you're running against. He's been in office since 2016, which is a long time. What do you feel without necessarily say whatever you'd like. How do you feel that you could do better? Like, what do you have to offer?
Thing is, I'll actually put the people first. I actually listen to people. I actually be a representative. Like you say, he's been in office for 10 years and he's gotten one piece of legislation passed for this district, and it hasn't shown any improvement. His whole thing was the environment. When you look at our district, our waterways are an essential part of our economy, and our environment here is very important. So his big thing was cleaning up the waterways, cleaning up the lake, cleaning up the aquifers and the canals and the rivers and all that stuff. When I was younger, these waterways were clear. I could see to the bottom of them. Now I wouldn't dip my toe in them. So it's like the main thing that you ran on, you didn't fix. Like you tried it and it didn't work. So you've been in office for 10 years. You got one thing to try and it didn't work. So why should we continue to send you back after a decade almost? And that's not to mention all the ancillary things that, as far as like who he is and the interactions that he's had with people around the county that I've spoken with. And he's just not he just hasn't been a great representative for everyone here. Let's say that. And it's time for people to actually have someone who is going to be involved in the community, who's not afraid of, meeting their constituents, who's not afraid of taking criticism and standing before people and having a town hall, listening to people's concerns, disagreeing with people respectfully and having those conversations. That's what a representative should be, man. You're supposed to be out here listening to the needs of the community. People are struggling just to afford to live here now. I remember when this place wasn't what it is now. Like this used to be the best kept secret in Florida. I remember you could rent something around here for $700-800 a month. You can't rent a room around here for that now. So it's like
Yeah.
we got to start looking at the people here, man, and their needs and what they're trying to get accomplished. And just don't feel like we have that representation right now. And it's nothing to take away from who he is as far as like his service. And I understand what he went through. I understand his sacrifice, and respect. He has all the respect in the world for that. But that doesn't give you a shield. That doesn't give you the right to, not do what you're supposed to do in terms of representing us. And it's time for a homegrown Floridian to actually represent this district, not a transplant.
Yes, and thank you for that. You that's a great segue to talking about the real estate prices in your district and Florida in general, um, because you have seen these housing costs skyrocket. A lot of wealth moving in, lots of folks also buying up homes, turning them into Airbnb, VRBO type properties. Um, Talk to me. You have the Homes for Floridians Act. It says to restore affordability, prioritize home ownership for Florida residents, and prevent corporate monopolization of the housing market. Um, fan- Thank you for having this whole document available on your website,
But
folks. For
one
any of
thing I
you,
learned from last election, where the policies? Where the policies? I can't find the policies. I said, all right, 2 clicks. I want you to be able to find policies. Well, we not finna have that. You ain't finna be up here talking about something you can't find it. Not you could find it. You didn't want to find it. So I made
right?
sure 2 clicks you can
Yep,
find them.
absolutely. Talk to me about limiting the corporate bulk purchases of single family homes.
Right. So my proposal is, and what I think we could do, what I would love to do is just stop private equity firms from being able to buy single family homes and things of that nature. Could I get that all to be put together in a house all together? I don't know. It's a lot of people with a lot of different interests. I wish there were just 435 grassroots, non-corporate backed people in the House of Representatives, but I'm a pragmatic person. I just know that's not going to be a realistic situation. So, to help stop some of the private equity from coming in and just buying up all the homes and trying to turn everybody into Florida into renters, one of the things we can do is institute a bulk tax on bulk purchases. So, you can't just come in and buy up 10 homes, buy up the whole block. If you do that, then it will be so tax punitive to you to be able to do that that you might reconsider making that purchase. So instead of 10, maybe you only buy 5 because the tax is so punitive. What does that do? That leaves more inventory on the market. That leaves more homes to be able to be purchased. And what did we talk about earlier with economics? Supply and demand. More supply, less demand. So we got to get those prices down. So that's one thing we could do. And then another thing that's in my proposal is a right of first refusal, meaning that these private equity firms are not allowed to purchase a single family home for up to 1 year. So that gives a chance for that house to be on the market for a year, or that single family property to be on the market for a year, and it gives an opportunity for the community and everyday people to buy those homes. And if nobody buys it after a year, then hey, yeah, you got to make your money, man. Then you said sell it to whoever you sell it to. But again, that keeps the inventory on the market a little bit longer and gives the everyday average person a chance to buy a home. So those are some things that I think would help lower the costs, because that would also help lower the rents, because you don't have these private equity firms coming in and setting rent prices and making the market what it is. You would have more of the everyday person who understands what people go through, bring those
Yeah,
prices down a little bit.
absolutely. Um, well, I think, I mean, like you said, you have your down payment assistant grants, assistance, like really looking to invest in people who are serving the community like yourself, like your coworkers. And as we know, so many folks in these industries they're not rolling in the dough. Like it's
No, tell me about that.
uh so to have someone who has their lived experience, who has woken up like you have day after day for years and then put on that uniform saying like, listen, this isn't right. I should be able to afford to live where I work. Thank you. And I'm sure you'll have a lot of people, even like you said, veterans, looking to purchase homes. So thank you. The One of the things that you talked about when you were talking about your story was how you saw how long med school was going to take, and you went for a different option. Very understandable, by the way. Med school is yeah, that's a whole chunk of your life. Um, but there's it's a great point because in your American Workforce Pathways Act, you talk about how not every student is going to attend a four-year college is meant for that. But they do deserve this pathway to a good paying career to self-sufficiency. Can we talk about your workforce pathways program?
Yeah, so again, man, I'm here, man. I grew up. I know. I have those friends. We all have those friends like, "Hey, you're not college material." You know that from the 8th grade that that person will not be going to college, and they're gonna be working with their hands, and, that doesn't mean that they shouldn't have the opportunity to be able to have, um, a great life, that, have a career to be able to provide for themselves and their families. So what I wanna do is, make sure that people are able to, start these trade programs not after you graduate high school, but starting your junior year, you start that get into those trade programs so you can actually graduate with a certificate in HVAC, in plumbing, in electric work, and you know, I was fortunate enough to have a CNA license when I graduated because we had those programs when I went to high school. And when you are able to have those programs, you give those opportunities. Imagine graduating high school with an HVAC license in Florida, in the hottest state in the country, and you know how to fix air conditions. At 18, there's no reason why you can't, find somewhere to start making some good money. And if you're so inclined or you have the resources or if you studied enough, you can start your own business at 18, working on people's ACs and be independent of having a boss. So again, just encouraging people to have those opportunities to be successful. And even if you wanted to go to a trades program after you graduated high school, why is that not covered by a grant? You can get a grant to go to a 4-year institution. Why can't you use the FAFSA to go to a trade program to learn how to weld, to learn how to do these things? Me in the fire academy, I had to come out of pocket for that. And I was gracious and thankful enough that I had enough people support who I am and what I was trying to do, that they helped me raise the funds to go to the fire school, to go to the fire academy, to get my EMT license. But not everybody is fortunate enough to be able to do that. So being able to provide those pathways to have a lot more people have those opportunities, because again, I just know what this career has done for me. And I remember where I was, sleeping in my car, sleeping on the couch to now being where I
Yeah,
am today. It wouldn't be possible without that opportunities. Definitely want to make sure more people have those opportunities. And then again, it helps with the entire economy. It helps with the entire American workforce because we are short a lot of trade workers. Like we're short plumbers, we're short electricians, like we're short all these people.
yes,
And
we are.
and I have 5 kids, and I can tell you right now, ain't now one of them walked up to me and said, "Hey, daddy, I want to be a plumber." So it's not like we're producing these people to come out. It's not like that's it's not like that's at the forefront of the younger generation's mind right now. Everything is all technology based and trying to get those degrees and trying to get that education. But at the same time, again, we know that's not everybody. And for those who are not going to be going down that path, they should have another pathway to make sure that they be able to take care of themselves and support themselves.
Absolutely. Um, Thank you for that. Thank you for taking the time to explain. One thing, hold on, I wrote it down and now I can't read my handwriting. Excuse me. Um, One thing that you had mentioned earlier, poverty, drugs, was how all of this is interconnected. These workforce pathways, these education ventures. Um, it's when you invest in society, when you invest in community, you save so much money, on the response side. And you're a responder. You've seen it. Um, what are ways that you have seen people be more proactive? You've been campaigning for how roughly about 6 months, nine
Oh,
months?
since April. So
Since April.
8 months, huh? Jesus Christ, it's been that long.
Since you have, joined the race, how have the conversations you have had along the way since April, how have they shaped and molded your campaign since you started?
Everything's been real positive, to be honest with you. And truth be told, like I've talked with more people who aren't aligned with me politically than I have people who are, just because of the nature of the area that I'm in. So I've talked with a lot of just independently leaning people. I've talked with a lot of Republican, conservative leaning people. Every conversation has been productive. Every conversation has been positive. A lot of people are looking for change. A lot of people are not happy with the way things are going. I know you hear the story about Florida from the outside, but I promise you guys it's not as crazy as that it gets portrayed to be on the news. There are rational thinking people here. And that's what I get, man. A lot of people, they don't have predispositions just because I'm running under a certain political umbrella. It's literally, having conversations, Floridian to Floridian, like, hey, your property tax high, my property tax high. Hey, can you afford your rent? Hey, what was your light bill this past month? You know what I'm saying? Like we all got the same concerns. We all thinking about the same things. And when we having those conversations, we might have different ways of how we can get there. And that's where, talking and coming with those solutions, that's when the back and forth and the give and take happens. And that's what our government was supposed to be. It wasn't supposed to be
Yeah,
what it has molded into today. So we have a lot of people that we have a lot of people that are trying to get back to that area, to that, where we can have those discussions. And it's been good, man. Like I said, I haven't had a negative interaction since I've been doing this with anybody I've spoken with.
yeah. Well, and I think, you're really leaning or your policies are very much economic focused, and I appreciate that's where you're going to, um, yeah, be able to meet a lot of people, like you said, "It's happening to me, it's happening to you, this is just not right." I, this earlier, you mentioned, Brian Mast not doing enough for your clean water. Folks, for those, where Bernard Taylor is located, Florida 21 has both beach to the Atlantic Ocean and to Lake Okeechobee. Lake Okeechobee is huge. Um, there are algae blooms, there's all sorts of things going on, around Lake Okeechobee, and it can harm animals, children, people, folks. Um, and there's just it's a lot of coastline, both beach and lake, in where Mr. Taylor is running for office. Can we talk about your Treasure Coast Clean Water Act?
Yeah, so my whole thing around my Treasure Coast Clean Water Act is not mitigating the problem, putting things in place to solve the problem. What we've had people try to do is mitigate the problem afterwards, after the lake gets dirty, after the developers continue to pollute the lake, after the big sugar mill companies and things of that nature, after all this stuff gets put into the water. Their focus is on how do we mitigate that because again, we don't want to upstate the real estate, packs. We don't want to upstate the people that are donating to these campaigns to get us elected. So it's always about, hey, you can do whatever you want. We'll try on the back end to make it less harmful as possible. My whole thing is like, I'm done with, trying to appease people just because you donate to the campaign, I need to make sure I'm appeasing you. Like, no, that's why I'm running this grassroots campaign. I don't want to be tied to anyone. I want to be responsible for the people that I serve, which is important. That's one of the most important things to me. Um, Again, with my background as a firefighter and paramedic, we take an oath is to protect life and protect property. And I take that same oath with me if I get elected into Congress. So with my Treasure Coast Clean Water Act, we're going to actually try to stop the pollution that happens into the lake. Because
Yeah,
yes, Lake Okeechobee is huge, but Lake Okeechobee is only 14 feet deep. So it's not like a very deep body of water. So those toxins and pollutants, they get into the air very quickly through evaporation
yeah,
because again, the water's not that deep. And if you look at the numbers surrounding the lake and the amount of people who get, life-threatening diseases such as cancer, the numbers continue to go up every year because they're breathing all that stuff in as it comes off the lake. And not to mention, like you talked about, the blue green algae, the toxic algae blooms, all that stuff makes it ways down into the waterways here in the Treasure Coast, through our canals, through the intercoastal, through the ocean. And again, You got a lot of people that depend on the fishing economy here to get by. You got a lot of people that depend on our waterways to earn a living. So we got to start actually cleaning up the water and
Yes.
cleaning up the environment here. And that's what my whole point of that piece of legislation is, to actually provide solutions to cleaning up the water and stopping these people from being able to pollute and continue to overdevelop our environment and overdevelop our state.
Mhm. Absolutely. I didn't know that a Lake Okeechobee was only 14 feet deep, and that makes sense. Like, if it's getting sludge, if it's getting poisons, toxins, yeah, it's evaporating quickly. And then, like you said, so many waterways that just cross into one
And
another
then
and
those
merge.
waterways, where do they try to funnel that stuff to? It's not to the condos on the beach, right? It's to the underserved communities. It's to the communities that don't know enough to complain about it. But those communities are the ones that get affected. Those communities are the ones that are their health is affected. And those communities are one again that um nobody's going to raise too much of an uproar about, because they're not paying that much attention to it. But it is literally um destroying communities, not taking care of these waterways like we need to, and destroying people's lives, whether they realize it or not.
Um, yeah, absolutely. It's environmental injustice, and there's so many layers.
Yeah, and then
Um,
they talking about putting data centers here. I'm like, F, we gotta hope we gotta. They are literally just saying F our our Floridian environment, which is crazy because again, just growing up here as a kid, man, I loved going to the lake with my granddad and fishing. I loved being outside. I love doing all these things, and I can tell you right now, man, no, I don't even recognize parts of this state that I used to know growing up. So it's unfortunate.
Absolutely. I mean, and yeah, it has changed tremendously. Um, West Palm Beach has always had money. You've lived near Mar-a-Lago. I know you said you're from Miami-Dade. How have you seen Mar-a-Lago change over the years? That's wild to be right down the street. A lot of Americans do not have that experience. So this is
Yeah,
like, oh yeah.
it is okay. So the thing about Mar-a-Lago that you understand, Mar-a-Lago sits in that blue stronghold of Palm Beach County I was telling you about. So you literally have this guy set up on the end of Southern Boulevard off the intercoastal next to the beach in Mar-a-Lago. It's like this one red island surrounded by a bunch of people that don't like you. It's literally like I wouldn't have picked it as my piece of resistance for when I retired, to just be surrounded by a bunch of people that don't like me. But it is what it is, man. But it is definitely changed. You can definitely tell it's been upgraded and renovated over the years. It's been more of a focus over it, because before, I'm be quite honest with you, before he started running for office, didn't know what Mar-a-Lago was. Didn't nobody
Yeah.
have care about like what is y'all talking about? Didn't even know he lived in Palm Beach. Like yeah, so until he started running, it wasn't really anything. But yeah, now you can tell, like we always know when he coming in town, because the airspace around Mar-a-Lago, like nobody can fly within a 2 mile air radius all the way up to space.
Mm,
So it's literally like a 2 mile cylinder that just surrounds that part of the county. And it
yeah.
sucks because they have a flight school there. So whenever he's in town, they can't fly. So that business loses money because those people need
Oh,
hours in the sky. So that's why I say,
yeah.
like, people don't like him in Palm Beach County. It's nothing but disruptive to what we're trying to
Right.
what people are trying to do. Like, it's like they think, but yeah, if you think about it, if I run a flight school and every weekend I got to shut down because I can't fly nothing, like now you messing with my money, man. So
Right.
it is very interesting. We've had protests, we've had people march to Mar-a-Lago over the years. So yeah, it is definitely it's been interesting.
That is too funny. Well, as we're getting closer to the end, you mentioned earlier that you have a family. How has being a family man encouraged you or to step into the political arena?
Wanted to have better for my children, man. I got an 18-year-old that's about to hit the world, and truly, I'm honest with my children. Like, hey, bruh, I don't know, man. I don't know what's about to happen, bro. I'm just be brutally honest with you, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like we got to make sure you prepared, bro, because I don't know what's about to happen over your next 4 years while you're in school. He luckily, he's going to college. He wants to play in the band up at FAMU, so supporting him in his aspects of being the best saxophone player in the world. But no, and that's just my oldest, and then I got a brand new one. I got a brand new fresh one. It's like what's this world gonna be 20 years from now if we continue to go down this path? The debt that we have, we're just passing that along to the next generations. We continue to pass that along to the next generation. That's why these people who are in office and these older people that ain't gonna live for the next 20 years, they don't care what happens to the debt because it's not gonna be their responsibility. They're not gonna be here to see what happens. Like us here, us millennials, us Gen Z and the people down here, Gen Alpha that are coming up, we are gonna be responsible for this stuff later on down the line. And if we don't do something now, if we don't step up to the game now to try to mitigate some of this stuff and try to, put this place back on the right track, it's not gonna be good for us when we get down the line, man. And the thing about it is I will be okay, to be honest with you. I got a pension. I got myself set up.
Right.
Family will be okay. But I'm the type of person that if the people around me aren't okay, then I'm not okay. And maybe that's just, growing up the way I did, growing up being the oldest of 5, having that responsibility of
Yes.
people underneath me. My and her do her thing and have that empathy and, wanting to take care of people, make sure people are good around her. It's one of those character things that I was like, why did I have to be born with this one? Why couldn't I have been born with the don't care attitude? But, it is what it is. Oh man. I couldn't have the little Grinch thing ticking in there, man.
Oh, gosh, yeah, right? Like, one of my friends was talking about in college how she wanted to be rich one day, and someone was like, "You're not sociopathic enough."
No,
I
it's
was
true. No, it's true. I try to tell
I was like,
it's a
it's so
lot.
funny.
I have not met a very benevolent billionaire. I have
Right.
not met one. I don't think people understand how much $1 billion is. They just hear that number a lot. They really do not understand $1 billion and what it takes to get to $1 billion and the people you got to step on and the people you got to mistreat and the wages that you don't have to pay and like all the loopholes that you
Yes.
got. It is a lot. It is a lot. And I don't think, like I said, I couldn't sleep at night doing some of the things that you probably got to do to become a millionaire. So I'm good, man. I'm fine with where I am. That's why I tell people that it's funny. People always get in the comments, they gonna buy you too when you get elected and all this stuff. I say, y'all don't understand. Like, I'm a very simple person. I am fine with me and my Xbox and my kid. Bro. I don't need nothing else. I'm not I ain't trying to see the world. It would it be nice? Yeah, if I don't never see it, that's fine. It's not like I don't have those aspirations, man. I like to be low key. I like to be chill. I like to again, my wife will tell you, I play the video game a little too much. So, um, yeah, it's just literally I'm just trying to get in there and do the right thing, man. And hopefully people see that.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been a fantastic conversation. We've covered so much. Do you feel is there anything that you would like to say as we wrap up to your audience? A call to action or where they can find you?
Yeah, so if you guys want to support my campaign, please go to bernardtaylorforcongress.org. We need volunteers. You can sign up to volunteer from wherever you are. You don't have to live in the district if you want to do things like make phone calls and share all my content on social media. If you want to knock doors, it'd be nice if you lived in the district. I don't want you flying from, Seattle to come over here and knock doors for a day. So if you want to canvas and knock doors, be close to the area. And then also contribute, man. Again, grassroots candidate. We sit on this internet all day talking about we want to get the money out of politics and we want to, beat these corporate politicians and all these things. Well, if you don't invest in the grassroots and the people that are out here trying to be that, then it's just not gonna happen. Because again, these machines have been operating for well over 400 years the way they've been. Um, and if you're not going to invest in the change you want to see, you're just going to continue having more of the same. So definitely want to say, though, instead of going to buy Starbucks for the day, just send that money in my account. You don't need to be buying Starbucks anyway. They anti-union. Yeah. So, and as a union
Yeah.
man myself, we ain't buying Starbucks no more. So y'all send
Yep.
me that money that y'all will spend on Starbucks. And then again, man, just continue to, share, support all my content, tell all your friends that live in Florida about me. The more visibility we get on this campaign, the more spotlight we can get on it, the more everything else will fall into place. So appreciate you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, folks. Bernard Taylor for Florida's 21st Congressional District. Thank you for being here. Folks, I hope that the beginning of your 2026 has been lovely as we power in. Don't forget the elections. You're looking at November 3rd, 2026. So we
It's
have less
November
than a
3rd.
year.
Well, primary August 18th. There are two other people that are trying to get the nomination for this race. So we got a
Okay.
primary first, August 18th. Qualifying date is in April. So we will know who's on the ballot in April. So we'll know if all three of us are going to actually have a primary or maybe some people drop out beforehand, fingers crossed. um, yes, qualifying is in April. That's why, again, guys, continue to support the content, continue to support the campaign. Qualifying fee is about $11,000 in order to get our name on the ballot. So need all y'all support, and then to go from there to run these races, man. So appreciate you.
Awesome. Alrighty, folks. Well, I will see y'all next time on Follow the Leader. This is Lee, and we'll see ya. Bye.